Amore Pizza King, serving Rockville since 1972. Dine in, carry out, or drive up window. Come and see us. Thank you, Rockville, for 50 years of business.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Guess we're going to start with you, Jeff.
Okay. Really just don't have a whole lot on the agenda for tonight other than take questions, but I do have the bid specifications from Roger on the Jack's building. I suggest giving this to Nick and having him go just once over on it. And as soon as he gives us the okay, let's go ahead and advertise for bids. So I have these documents, and I also have he sent me a little electronic copy as well, if you guys want to look at those.
So what did you decide on the roof?
I'm going to go ahead and pull that roof off of ourselves. We'll take, we're going to start off this week, and let's go ahead and just take all 4 days next week and try to get that done. So we think we can pull it off, and shouldn't be too bad. Everything, I did have one thing late from Cody. I think we have about, according to Cody, we have about 16,000 in our replacement fund. That is partially a fire department that goes from water to the fire department, and it's there for the purpose of redoing fire hydrants.
Which we redid 10 of them a couple of years ago. We talked about kind of doing some, I thought we talked about doing them on a regular basis.
Yeah, and that's what Cody was asking, and we got that money. He suggests going ahead and trying to do 2 more. He talked to UBAC, and they gave him an estimate of between $5,000 and $7,000 per hydrant, just depending on what they get into in the ground. Cody feels like we're pretty safe at doing 2 hydrants. He recommends one at across from National Guard Armory, is in really bad shape, and one at Erie and Joe's Alley also needs to be replaced. He also recommends we put in a flush hydrant at on Westwood to help with that area down there. So with your approval, I'd like to go ahead and okay him to do that.
How to make that motion?
Motion, second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And that's all I have for you, unless you guys have questions.
Oh, hang on a second, I just want to ask why Jimmy's here. Who is flushing hydrants? Water or you guys? Fire department or water?
Water.
We're all doing them together, kind of. I think some of your guys come out and help, don't
We
they?
go with them and
Yep.
give them the user, and then we document the flows, because we have to have it for our ISO reads.
Yeah, I think it's worked pretty well the last couple of years, hasn't it?
Yeah,
Okay.
we team up with them.
As long as you guys got a plan.
Yep.
Floor is yours, Park.
Oh, yeah, okay, so this is just for demolition, right?
Yes.
Okay. Anything that we feel concerned about or aware of, or?
No, like I said, the only thing that's a little bit different on there is just us trying to go ahead and salvage the metal roof off that building.
Okay.
And I think our guys can do that. I talked to Keith.
So how you gonna put this out to bid?
We'll advertise in the papers.
You gonna
Figure
put time
Crawfordsville, Terre Haute, San Antonio.
constraint on it, I mean, from start to finish?
Yeah.
What are we thinking on that?
Well, I figure we'll advertise for about a 3-week period, and we'll want this done probably by, I don't know, you guys tell me, April 1,
I was thinking in March.
Yeah, I think that's realistic.
into March
I
or
mean, if
April
it's a
1.
horrible winter or something, I guess we could revisit that, but that would be.
Right.
You have to set a date to open the bid
bids.
Sunday to open, how about February 1st? Or well,
I'd say 30 days from whenever the last publication was, would be my suggestion.
okay, 30 days from last publication. So if we put it out
February.
in February.
I know, I mean, we could open in February.
Probably end of February you could open them. Because you gotta run 3 weeks.
It's not
You
January
wanna,
yet.
I was gonna say, could we open them,
You could open any amount of time. I mean, you could say 15 days after last date runs. That's up to you guys to set the date. But
can we open them, beginning of the year in January and advertise for a month? And then we'll select bids in, the first board meeting in February.
yeah, that would.
And then that'll give them March, April to complete the work.
Yeah, I mean, if you want, I can draft a notice, or if you want to draft it, it doesn't matter. We just have to say the date that the bids are going to be opened in the notice.
Well, February 7th is our first official meeting
Okay.
of February. So,
Yeah, I'm good with that. If you guys are good with that, I mean, tell me.
what?
Gives them
I'm good
about
with it.
6-7 weeks to do it.
I've already been telling everybody May 1st anyway, so.
Okay. That sounds good.
Okay.
Another question, I made it out there to the retention pond for the wastewater the other day, and I saw the trees down. What's our plan now?
We'll get out there when we get a good hard freeze, we can get our equipment out there
Mhm.
and try to get the trees that are down, chipped up and everything.
Yeah,
We still have a few remaining trees that we have to knock down. That's kind of a wintertime project for us.
so, going forward, what's our vegetation
Yeah,
measure?
we're not gonna let that get like that again. We're gonna take a little bit of wet tar off.
Crossbow is good for just
Crossbow
spraying,
for
tordon
spray
is
stuff.
for, putting on the stump
Yes,
after you
yeah.
cut.
We're gonna do that, we're gonna make an application on that. We'll probably cut some of those a little bit closer to the ground than what they are, because the
Yeah.
grinder that the county used was, it's not as
Well, you
clean,
don't wanna get
obviously, as a sword.
the rip wrap of that, but yeah, tordon, do a fresh cut, you have to use that,
Yeah.
and then the crossbow is just for spraying. But, well, that's a good idea.
Yeah, we're using some of our regular mowers to mow that hillside. Makes it look a little bit better and cut it a little bit closer than the bush hog. And, yeah, we're not gonna let that. I couldn't tell you when the last time those trees were
I
knocked
don't
down,
think-
because some of those trees were pretty big.
I don't think it ever been, it's been out there for 20 years. Yeah, okay.
You're just taking a drive by the soup.
Well, yeah, I was curious, I mean, it's not someplace I go often, I said, well, I need to go out and see this, and to see what they did, and it looked good. and-
Yeah, like I said, I appreciate the county helping us.
How'd you get them to do that?
Just ask real nicely.
Okay. Okay.
They wanted their sirens checked.
Uh-huh, okay.
And I tell you, Mr. Norman out there, kudos to him and his group. They've been very cooperative. That's where all of our county offices, you know, when we need someone, we reach out for help. I don't think I've ever been turned down on anything. So it's appreciated, and because the Oka Sirens, I feel like they want to reach out to us. We can,
Well, it's good to have a
yeah.
relationship that's positive with
Yeah.
your neighbors.
Anything else?
Sure don't.
Randy, you ready?
Yeah. Here's the statistics for the last couple of weeks. There's 3 of them. Here's my report. The new cars are in. They are, one vehicle was just in service, is in service and operating great. The other vehicle, we're having problems with them getting it programmed for headlight and taillight flashers. GM requested I send them a letter that stating who owns the vehicle, what the vehicle's used for, and the VIN number, and what we were wanting. So I did all that, saying that it was purchased to have that, and it doesn't have that, and that the dealership was wanting to charge us for that, to program it. Well, now they've come to the conclusion that it is already programmed for that. So we're still trying to work through that now. We've got some kind of fault in the heater control module and a turn signal not turning off when it's supposed to. So GM's working through that also. Now we have to take part of the dog cage out to get back to it. So we're taking it back to JTM next week for them to take the dog cage out and look, because you gotta get to the whole back passenger side panel to get in there. And Cameron Martin's Chevy truck is out of house of Chevy, back in service, and they replaced the motor in it. We think it's good to go. I will be attending the Chiefs of Police training at the end of January in Indianapolis. Now, you've got my statistics for the last 2 weeks. The chaplain for the department has come down and finished the last of the windows that he had to trim out for us. And we've got 2 offices that we still need to trim out the new windows on it. But everything's coming along pretty well, and hopefully we can have us a open house to show off the work that's been done down there by hopefully spring, February, March. We have a thermostat issue in the garage in the police department. I walked out to the garage where we got a new furnace put in there the last, a couple of years ago, I guess, when the town garage got a new furnace put in also. And I noticed that it wasn't working, the thermostat laying on the floor. So I sent a message out to everybody asking who was messing with the thermostat. Didn't have batteries in it, I couldn't find those, but it turns out that we share a wall, and they were attaching some stuff to the back wall and with a hammer, and it probably knocked it off there, but it's still not working, so I've got to call AC to come back and check the electrical to it. The problem is that the electrical, we can't trace it either, where it goes in that building.
So you don't have heat?
Not in the garage. I do in the regular part of the building. We're just staying out of the garage. We're not leaving anything out there that'll freeze. That's all I've got.
Well, we have on the agenda
Are we doing?
ordinances under the police department, bin checks, towing, et cetera.
Right, so my question would be, I guess I need to know what fees we want to charge for what specific items would be the only thing I need to know. So like, what are we gonna charge for a bin check versus towing versus anything else we want to do?
Tony, didn't we say?
I believe under Indiana code, we're only allowed to charge $5 for a bin check.
Okay.
And I thought the towing, we said $50 to get it out of impound, and then they have to come and show proof of license and insurance at the here.
Correct.
Do you want proof of license and insurance to the officer, or do you want it to the town hall? I would say typically probably to law enforcement.
Usually to the officer, because they can check if it's a valid driver or not.
Okay. Yeah, I can do those. Is there anything else besides bin checks and towing that you want me to agree to?
Yeah, I'll get that list to you again. I think you lost it.
Probably so.
Let me,
Sorry.
That's okay. I'll get you the list of them again, and
Okay.
we can review them and see what works for us.
Okay. Yeah. No, I can put those together.
Anything else? Yeah, Brandy, I think we're gonna cover that here in a second, so, insurance,
Oh, yeah.
if you're ready. I mean, you done, Randy?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I just wanted to start with my claims if I could for a total of $242, $238.52.
Oh, let's see.
Anything's parked perusal, I'll make a motion to.
Yeah, so we transferred from the fire truck
Yes, that one's done. I still have the, benefits
Okay.
portion of that.
Cleaned up the Okra wastewater account.
Mhm.
That's good. I didn't see anything, no major repair bills, didn't look like.
Nope.
It's unusual.
It's not a challenge.
No, it's not.
So,
Keep your fingers crossed.
yeah, you can move that in a second.
All in favor? Aye.
That Okra loan payment was in there as well, so it'll be paid by the first of the year too.
Okra, you mean,
The loan. I just saw the loan.
Yeah.
Place from one to the other, right?
Sorry.
I not really make motions.
Okay, bank recs, they're all balanced and tagged there, zero balance for the month of November.
Make a motion to approve. Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Motion in full.
You're like looking at me, just waiting to pound, so.
I'm ready to approve minutes too. I read them.
Billing adjustments, did you guys get those? I'm not sure, I mean, they're here to look at, and I do
Yeah.
have receipts on all of
You gave them
these,
to
but
us.
if there's any questions or anything, I've got 1850.76 on one, and that was a big, huge leak. And then the other ones there's several miscellaneous ones in there for 312404, so there are two separate ones.
Liddy?
Make a second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Sorry. I'll keep moving. Minutes, November 29th and December 6th.
Make a motion to approve.
Questions?
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Looks like everybody gets a little Christmas present here on their bills, huh?
Oh, yeah, we can talk about that before we do the insurance. And that's, that's my fault for not mentioning that in the last meeting. My note actually was stuck to another invoice. But, we did mail the bills due for December 10th on November 23rd. Nobody was getting them in the mail. That was our bulk mailing. So on December 2nd, we talked to the post office while they were still sitting in Indianapolis. So I would like to ask that we give that extra week and not post penalties until the end of our business day today, which gives people an extra week, being the delay of the post office not getting them to the mailboxes as well. I mean, we haven't ran into that situation before, but if nobody has any objections to that, I'd like to not post penalties until our close of business today.
Sounds good to me. We need a motion for that.
Make a motion. Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
And then, once we get caught up with those, I've got, I sent both of the insurance proposals out. We have both of our insurance representatives here as well, if there's any questions. If you have anything you wanna go over as far as the differences, the covered versus not covered. And I also just wanted to touch base on, regardless of what we go forward with, we do have the cyber quotes that we can get, which I can get help with from Randy Cleaver, our IT guy, if you're interested in doing those as well. Carla mentioned those at the last meeting. That was an option we could look into. We don't have to do it before the first of the year, but if we wanted to do that, we could pursue that as well.
Does Randy send you guys those know before trainings? Like he does us?
haven't gotten anything for a long time from him, so. No.
I don't think I count as an employee. Is why I didn't get in trouble. We have our own server and everything,
Thank you. Okay.
Okay, well, insurance. You know, they brought to our attention last meeting that we had no coverage for a switching station. Interesting. Keeps you up at night. Once you know the information, you have to consider what one should do about that. Seems like a risk there, about $735,000 to $32,000 exposure there based on what the insurance amount was quoted on. You know, it's not cheap, but more expensive to replace the equipment if it's damaged. You know, I don't see how we can go forward without it. My take on it, I don't know, what do you folks think?
Well, like we say, I mean, historically, there's never been anything that serious happen to it, but whatever you guys think. I mean,
Well, Steve, you're the electric guy.
Yes, if we need it, it's very valuable. If we don't need it, it's a lot of money spent.
Mhm.
Carla, did you find any information about that claim that was mentioned or loss that was mentioned? Did
I
you?
spoke with Jeff, and
Okay.
you indicated instead of a 40,000
Yeah, it wasn't that
repair, it was 10 to 12
Okay.
for a couple blown fuses, is that what you mentioned?
I think we had to get some different parts from a place over in Illinois, and it was, I can't remember exactly what the parts were, but there were two of them, they were about 5,000, 6,000 apiece, I think, for each one, so $10,000 to $12,000 is what our.
and that wood covers,
Well, it's 10,000 deductible on it.
Yes,
It's a pretty steep deductible, I think, so.
10,000.
But what we value it, what did you value it, the whole substation for,
I think it's 700.
Yeah.
30, I think, somewhere around 730.
But what are the chances of the whole thing being destroyed?
Yeah, I don't know, Steve.
Based on the last 2 years, 50/50.
Yeah, I don't know. It's you know, we're the other, we could go uninsured there and all be aware of it. And knowing the maximum expense out of pocket be around 700, we think. It's not happened in my lifetime, but who knows what could happen down the road. Based on the premium, it's about a 20-year, take 20 years to save up the amount that they're insured on a 31,000 premium for that substation. What do you think, Melissa?
I'm thinking if we were in Kentucky, we probably wish we'd had our.
Well, there you
insured.
go, major disaster of that nature, so it would be, yeah.
Would that type of disaster be covered?
We're talking equipment breakdown.
Equipment breakdown.
So we would have straight wind coverage without the equipment breakdown.
This is just equipment failure.
Yeah, equipment breakdown.
Would we have coverage on vandalism without your insurance?
Without the equipment breakdown, yes.
So this is just covered breakdown of equipment, everything else is under our
Right.
regular policy. This
Yeah.
is just the
So we're
additional
not
price.
sitting there uninsured?
Well, it's
Well,
a
yeah, that's
coverage
interesting.
peril under the package policy for equipment breakdown, which would include power surges, failures.
Of course, the power surge coming into the substation be on duty. Be there, I would think. There's powers.
When were those claims? When was that particular claim?
This is summer, I think,
Do you remember, since you've been here, have there been any others?
not that I'm aware of.
You've been around a while.
That
I don't recall any claims in the past of significance.
Hey Brad, on your substation, have we had any major claims on that, or major failures?
All we did is put a set of switches in it, rebuilt switches and put the controllers in.
Okay, and that was what, 10, 12,000 on the switches?
Yeah.
That was the one that happened this summer, right?
Maybe we should just forget the insurance on that aspect of it.
Well, the more I hear here, yeah, it sounds like we're covered for some more common items. Equipment failure is always a possibility, but then again, we I don't know that we ever really replaced anything at the substation. I remember.
So does that?
Brad,
does that
you
mean
know,
it's all about to go?
is that substation in pretty good shape, really, you think, mechanically, electronically?
Those were redone in like 99, 2000.
Interesting. Huh. Yeah, that's something we should probably have reviewed by, say, if they have someone in-house to review the substation, say, okay, well, what do things look like? I haven't a clue.
Cause I'm guessing we could always add it.
I would assume yes.
Well, based on
Yeah.
recent information, I would say we forego that substation insurance and go on as we have. I think we definitely need to maybe have an outside expert take a look at it and see, well, getting kind of old here, maybe you should consider something. So what about the cyber?
And those are just two, Carla's given me the paperwork if we wanna move forward. Did you say that your gentleman, quoted, I mean, not quoted, but,
He estimated
Yeah.
about 4,000
yeah.
a year.
And that's just the paperwork that I can get with Randy to help get those answers completed if it's something that we need. Randy does a good job with our server and keeping, stuff, but if it's something additional that you guys wanna decide to do, we can always do that at any given time. That's just an additional, on top of this.
Okay.
Would the cyber cover the police department's computers and computers here?
Yes, I think it would be the town of Rockville's.
Everybody.
Okay.
I would say yes on
I think so,
Cyber and
given the
terrorism.
climate we all operate in these days, it's a good thing to have.
So,
terrorism's also separate from that, right?
you know,
That's-
we quoted that option for terrorism, it was $500.
Both domestic and foreign,
Yes.
2-for-1.
Now,
There's
if we exclude equipment breakdown on the substation, our revised number is 53,415 plus 500 for cyber if you want it.
What was that again, Carl?
53,415.
53.9 was there.
Okay.
We were at 84,198 with equipment breakdown on the substation.
Start. Oh. So what do you guys think about terrorism?
Yeah, I mean, that's a definite, yeah. I mean, $500.
Well, again, in this day and age, it can happen anywhere, no matter when it's happening. Unfortunately. So yes on cyber, yes on terrorism, hold off on the substation.
And when you say on that cyber, so, okay to go ahead and get with Randy, get these quotes, maybe just bring them back to the next meeting, or do you wanna move forward based on the fact that that comes back at $4,000 to $5,000? I have there's two different companies, right, Carla? Is that the two
Yes,
different-
we did 2 applications so that we can submit it to a couple different places.
Yeah,
The MFA, that multi,
yes, right.
it is gonna have to be,
Okay,
most of the companies
But I
are
think that
requiring
makes
that now.
bring them back and do that first of the year if you want. Is that okay?
Yeah, we'd have to submit the paperwork to get firm quotes for you to take action on it. I couldn't find it without applications.
There, and this is on there. Included there with that cost.
So this would be added to this.
I mean, as far as this terrorism's on here, right?
That's already, yeah, that, I was just stating that's already included in that quote there, and then here's the one, the 500 on top of that, so you're looking at about $1,000,
Okay.
difference on that.
Okay,
Well,
so, any further comments regarding coverage? Well, so we had two quotes, but one from, what's Branson,
Mhm.
and what's it, Asper, is that the other,
RT insurance.
RT Insurance?
Yeah.
They're very close. How long we been with RT, a couple years?
3 years. Well, this
Yeah.
will be through.
I moved to go with Branson, and nothing against RT, you guys have been fine. It's just hometown team. You know, it's just nice that you support as local as you can. I think you guys are in the county.
Yes, we are.
We were with Carla forever, and she had a very competitive quote. Similar coverage, almost, I believe. So yeah, you guys have been good to us, but when you're right across the street, it's hard to not go there, especially when it's basically same level of coverage, and pretty much, I think they're about $1,000 lower based on the overall cost. So that's my thoughts, that's my motion.
Second.
Okay.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I don't.
Okay, just,
Oh, sorry.
we also tabled the workers' compensation renewal last
Oh, yeah.
meeting, which is with IPAP. So I guess I need your final,
I move.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
okay, thank you very much. And so just to be, you want the terrorism, yes.
Yes.
Cyber you'll consider once we get the completed information. No equipment breakdown on the substation at this time.
I don't think so.
Okay. All right. I have paperwork that'll have to be signed by your president. Do you want to do that now, or you want to wait and do that between now and the 1st?
I would just wait till we get our.
So we need to do the insurance for the end of the year.
Yeah, I'll need your signature before the end of the year to
No
find
problem.
coverage.
What, do you have it with you?
Yes.
At least, how much is it?
It's not that bad. It's just a couple signatures.
Okay. Well, I say get it out of the way.
That on your, that I added for you.
This is to accept the cyber. You'll sign your name.
I just didn't know if you wanted to touch base
Yeah, I was planning on talking about that.
I just
And then
figured
that
out.
one, there's a guardianship in place now, I think, right? Is that the one that?
This is the one that I tell you.
Okay, uninsured motorist
Oh,
vehicles. I need your initials here
She's not
and
affiliated
signature.
with this, she was affiliated with this address, just for mailing purposes.
How much is that? So we'd have to look at whether a state is not required.
This is the full application, so if you wanna sign that, and I'll get copies of all this to Brandy, so that she'll have them in the
The
file.
one that, the boy.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, board. Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So I don't know if someone
Okay, all right.
that I just, I feel like
So we can take.
the personal opinion is get her.
Yeah, because of the debt sale, when they property go to the county.
Right.
Okay.
That's why
We
we're
got,
there
we got
for
so many
you.
of these going that it's hard to.
Yeah, I threw that at
Okay,
you, but
yeah, so that's a
about-
different one then. Okay, so I mean, you're just gonna have to have their approval to do that, but, the towns or whatever, determine that, but, I mean, if she's not the one they originally signed it, then Well, we have to have something authorizing us to build her, basically, in order to do that. So that could be problematic anyway.
Sorry.
You're up.
Couple things. Next small claims court's tomorrow afternoon. We have 2 cases going tomorrow afternoon. One of which we should get some money out of because he's on record in a different legal cases he's working. So hopefully we'll get some money. Ordinance violations are set for January 18th at 1:30. That's our next ordinance violations dates. There's 2 ordinance violations set that day also. One's property related, one's animal related. And then you had asked me to look into the 41 North Sewer Project in eminent domain. There's 2 paths under it. One path, we give notice, we file a lawsuit. The other path, we give notice. They have a right to appear at a hearing before you guys object to what our proposal is. If they do that, you guys still go through with eminent domain, they have a right to appeal within 30 days. I'd
Appeal,
recommend-
what's that?
Appeal a decision made by you guys as the board for eminent domain.
Okay,
So it's basically who files, you know, my recommendation is the second one, that we give notice, we give them an
Okay.
opportunity to be heard in front of you. If they don't like the decision made, they have a right within 30 days to file a lawsuit to stop eminent domain from proceeding as to the easements.
well, it'd be quicker, what's more expedient?
The second one,
It is?
yeah.
Okay.
So that's one, plus it's less, you know, costly. I mean, basically it puts the burden on them to file a lawsuit versus you guys filing a lawsuit.
Okay.
So that's why I recommend that, but basically I'd have to draft a resolution for your next meeting to have that signed, and we'd give notice after the resolution.
When's our next meeting?
Can we just
January
give
3rd,
approval to have it signed once you draft it?
Yeah.
You could have your president sign
That's
the
what I would
resolution.
like to make a motion to do.
For the sec- the
So
second
go ahead
one.
once he's done.
Yes.
Okay.
We have to have a resolution.
We have to have a resolution that's signed, and then we have to give them notice of the resolution and a date to be heard as their objection to the resolution. So,
Was there a second on Liddy's motion?
I'll say.
We would hear. listen
you'd
to
have
him
a
on the-
hearing here, he'd be able to talk about his objection, his rights and things like
Do
that.
we make that date? Do we set that date?
We set that date, it has to be within, we have to give them 30 days though, I believe, let me check real quick.
So work on that fast.
Right.
So that was for Dave to go ahead and sign once Nick's done with that. Okay.
The board shall give notice of the resolution published for 2 consecutive weeks. Mailed to the owner, certified mail, 30 days after the last publication. So, either way, I mean, you're running the same time frame either way, it really, I mean, you get that 30-day notice period. But the first one puts us filing suit, the second one puts them having to file suit. So, that's why I recommend the second one.
Okay.
So it's
You moved, right?
puts the burden on them.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So I'll draft the resolution then. And then Dave will sign it, and then I'll get the notice for publication and the certified mailings out. So I'll put a rush on
Thanks, Dick.
it. Then the other one we're good on, so, I mean,
Yeah, do I need that, to remove that and just move forward under that name? Or,
I mean, if the other name wasn't supposed to be on there, I don't know that you necessarily need the board's approval.
I don't think so.
Okay,
Okay,
so,
all right.
that's all I have.
Troy, you have something?
Not really, but I will tell you, talking to Ronnie about, you guys approved that quote. He just wanted me to tell you, it's probably gonna be springtime before we can get over here to mess with that. We're just so backed up right now, so I just wanted to give you guys a heads up on that. Make sure everything was still kosher with us doing it.
Is that gonna be a problem encumbering that for, okay.
Is Cody still here?
Cody?
Yep.
Oh, okay. I was like, I didn't know if you had anything more on the hydrants or if you were good or you already talked to Troy about that?
Yeah.
Okay.
The only thing I had was, we get that money from the fire department for it.
Right.
If it rolls over to the next year.
Yeah.
or if it has
And
to
Jim
be
has got a
spent.
pretty good spreadsheet nailed down on that he works with me on, so we've got that taken care of. Yep. As long as we're good.
You got something, Jim? Just here to hang out.
Here to see as you please.
Cindy, do you have anything?
Just to let you know, again, Mandy's been doing an awesome job on surveys. So when we did the first grouping, we didn't get enough in the volume of responses, so we had to open up to a second group. And for each person selected within the group, you have to give 3 attempts to respond. So she's on the 3rd attempt of the last 100 people, or 105 people in the second group. And then once that's done, we should be able to send our calculations to Okra and hopefully get approved to move forward.
How many do we have now?
I was looking at more what we needed to finish versus how many we have, but you have probably over 400 responses.
Oh, good.
Well, I said anything else, Cindy? I wanted to segue into that. You know, something came up in a recent conversation with Cindy, and we talked about it as a board several times in the past, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years. You know, the Rails to Trails group and what they're doing, and it kind of ties into our comp plan. And there's been some discussion about from the park down to the town, down to downtown Rockville to Depot, I believe, something to that effect. And I'm not sure where to go from there. I believe they what is it they would like to from the board?
So what Mark Davis had offered was to help the board implement what was in your comp plan.
Okay.
In the sense of if it's pursuing grants, if it's connecting to their existing trail project. He just offered himself as a resource.
Okay.
For funding and writing and project management and all the above. And he was just at the county meeting. He did share that they have new officers for next year, and he's going to be strictly focused on project management for their $5 million grant that they got. But he's still more than happy. And I think Miriam, I think she's still on your park board, she's their new president. So
Okay.
she can also be that resource.
Well, I just want to bring that up. I don't know what's the rest of the board, how you feel about, anybody wants to help us is good. So, yeah, it's mainly the park board. I think that falls under their domain there. So, you two are on the park board, aren't you?
And park, just in case it's not been shared, there's 1, possibly 2 Department of Health grants now being geared towards active living, they call it.
Really?
Yes.
Nice.
So if you guys are not familiar, if Miriam's not familiar, I've got some information on that too. But it's not just DNR, so there's a lot of agencies looking to support that active living.
So I guess I'd recommend perhaps the park board and Mr. Davis get together and just see what we can do to help facilitate any type of trails. Something else came up, I can't remember I think I can remember. Getting a hold of New Hope.
They have a new contact.
And where's that number at?
There is a number on their facility down there. Unfortunately, it's a Verizon number that Verizon has not yet activated. So if somebody calls it, it just says Verizon, it's not a working number. They are aware of it, they're working with them to get that fixed.
Okay.
Is that different from what I got?
Yes, it is. I haven't sent that to you yet because it's not working.
I just meant the last that you sent me. Would that be something that we could share with the paper, or would that be necessary?
It's already been shared
Okay.
with, I have been sending those to Jessica as I get updates.
Okay.
But it seems like every time I send her an update, then it changes, so, there is a Heron Property Management phone number, Brandy, which is what you have. That's still a valid number. Those are still valid names to contact, but what they did is created a specific phone number for just that property if somebody were to call. And that's the number that's not working. And it's a, like 765-828 number. So hopefully that will be working very soon.
Okay, well, thanks for that. hopefully they'll get that going soon.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's about it as far as that. Do you want the floor to?
Well, yeah,
talk about a
I'll
little-
take off. I guess it's old business. We have budget to get through, and there's a lot of stuff there. Yeah, first let's go back to Randy's stuff, which kind of segues into the budget. I called Randy today about an idea. Apparently, he didn't like it. I don't know if y'all read this letter that Randy submitted here. I assume you have in the time you've been here. Yeah, I think I got a hold of a couple of you about it, but let me recap the idea I had, because we do have, well, how to say, we have pretty much maxed out what we're paying out of general fund, and we all know the situation in the public safety fund. We're actually overdrawing that, paying it out of general fund for another year. But, my thought I had was, okay, how about we match what the county's doing as far as the starting wage, and basically, I'm not sure I understand the longevity pay thing out there, but I know they're paying $41,500 starting. That'd be bringing our 3 officers besides the chief, assistant chief, up to $41,500. Then when we talk about taking Bill up a significant amount, which basically, to rationalize it, would be longevity, recognizing the years he's been here. So yeah, that would increase our pay there, but in lieu of that's in lieu of adding that 6th officer. And apparently that's a pretty big deal based on Randy's letter here today.
Well, I think the other thing is, we've talked about it since June, and we've been kind of all over, but we've told them for the last few months it's a done deal, we're funding a 6th position, so I know where you're coming from, but I totally understand, and I don't think.
Well, the bottom line, they've not had a 6th patrolman on working. They never have. We've had 5, and we were paying for 6 because we had a 6th
We had
officer.
6 for a short time.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, we've not had any in my recollection, okay? We talked about funding 6. It's not pretty when we put that 6th officer in our budget.
I get it.
So, yeah, I was saying, well, what's an alternative to help the cash flow over here, help them get better pay and be competitive with the county? And that's the whole reason I bring this up.
I think with 5, it's clear we're still gonna have the comp time issue.
We have comp time issues, yes.
And it won't go away.
So anybody want to chime in here about the option I proposed and talked to Randy this morning about it?
I think the budget's already, we're gonna be in a hole. We already are.
We're already in our little.
Well, we're in the whole non-payroll expenses. We're maxed out at close to 90% in the general fund on wages for public safety. So I thought, well, this would be an alternative to help reduce the cost a little bit, give them a little more, make us competitive with the county. I thought it was a good idea, but gosh, I guess some people don't. So, Randy, where you at?
Well, I think their option is, if they wanna go to the county, they can always apply out there.
Well, they can, but you hate to lose your officers. We have some good officers. You hate for them to go, and we've got to stay competitive with the county. All you gotta do is drive across the highway and get more pay. I mean, it's to live in the same house, same town, so why wouldn't you make that change? I mean, why wouldn't you?
Well, there's an officer here.
Well, there's an officer here, we got a chief here, so,
There's 2 officers.
where's the other officer?
Oh, Chris is
Chris is
here.
out there.
Where's Chris? I don't see him. Hey, Chris.
You need to take that wall down.
So Randy, you can have the floor for a minute. I mean, talk
In
to
the
us.
last 2 public meetings we've met, one with the police commission and one with us, the 6th officer had already been approved. It's already been in the budget for the last year. You have been paying for it. It's not added another. Now, adding the additional wages, you're talking about the raises and the longevity pay and stuff, that's something extra. Now, if you just did the 6th person like we've already talk about. And then think about the American Rescue Plan money for the bonuses this time. You can worry about raises later. Yes, it's gonna have to come up, but hopefully these fees and schedules that we come up with on the other things will help cover that additional stuff later. Now, like I said, the last 2 times we met publicly, you said it was no think that everything was covered.
Well, I don't know why he said it's no problem, but it's really stretching us pretty darn thin.
Well, you might go back in the minutes then, or watch the videos from the previous minutes.
I know what I said, Randy. I said it's stretching us thin. I'll say it again, to the camera, to you, to everyone here. We're maxing out our revenue with public safety expenses. I'm offered an alternative to try to keep both parties happy here, keep the budget a little better and keep the officers paid a little. So I don't care what I said before, this is what I'm saying tonight. If the board doesn't like it, that's fine. I just threw it out there. I thought this morning you were kind of receptive. I didn't realize this letter indicates you're pretty pissed off, I would say.
No, it doesn't indicate that at all. It just indicates
Well,
that
there's a lot
there's
there
a lot of talking about this since June.
Yeah.
And we talk about things and talk about things, and then we think we've got things settled. I mean, for instance, 2 years ago, we had a public meeting for the budget, and I was asked what kind of raise I wanted, and I told the board then that I don't feel comfortable asking for a raise. If you feel like I've done my job and deserve a raise, then do that. And 4 members of this board agreed to raise my pay to $54,000. Then the next public meeting I come to, that you weren't present at, Park, my pay was cut down to $51,500 without ever a thing to me, but it was said, well, I didn't ask for anything. So now I have to ask for things because you don't feel like we feel like we're being attacked all the time. Innuendos that we've done something inappropriate or illegal, immoral. Well, yeah, when we say that I've had out of control spending and spending that the board hasn't approved when you've already said on public meetings.
Well, both parties are guilty there. You come in wanting stuff, we keep proving it. I don't think you were looking at the budget, we weren't watching the budget. And so, you know, regardless, what's said in the past doesn't matter. We're talking about where we're at right now tonight.
I am all for compromise and help.
Well, that's what I thought I presented today,
But-
something that would help you guys and help us,
But what's gonna change next month? It's every month we come through the same thing.
Well, here's what I would say. I was told by your executive officer that we created this mess, this board created this mess. So apparently we're gonna try to clean it up. Now, am I crazy about 5 officers? No, because I've told all of you that we were gonna fund 6 officers, you know, so I kind of feel like if we go that direction, it kind of falls back on me because I obviously told you that, you know, we were gonna fund them. But, I mean, it's a board decision, and
I think we have to honor our word, at least this year. If there comes a time and we can't sustain it, then that's gonna be the tough call, and somebody will have to, at that point.
well, that's a horrible place to put yourself in. You know we're stretched.
If I were a police officer here, I'd be looking for another job, because we tell them one thing, we tell them something else, and we tell them something else. Why wouldn't, I mean, I don't think we're gonna be competitive with the county. We might be this year, and then next year, they're gonna have more money than us, and they're gonna raise theirs, and we can't compete with them. They either wanna work for us, or they wanna work for the county, or they wanna work in private sector, or they wanna do something else. I mean, they can make more money working security, so they must wanna be here. They want a 6th officer, maybe we don't give all the raises, we give them the 6th officer. We see how it goes. So I guess that's my.
I mean, the things you gotta factor in are, we've agreed to give everybody a car. So now you're looking at,
They may have to drive their cars a little longer than.
well, but I mean, we're still gonna have to, I mean, we're basically a car short right now. I mean, we're taking it out of the budget. Well, I mean, no, but I'm saying new cars in the rotation.
Right.
So basically, we're short one new car already. I mean, for 23.
Right, and I
And
suggested that.
that next officer will also be short a vehicle, which would come, if the schedule was working correctly, we would get it in 24 if we budgeted for next, 23. So, and just so, and I'm sure you guys are aware of it, I had a talk with John about putting the brakes on the taking the cars out of county for a minute. So we can figure out how we're gonna police that and some other things. So he's coming up with something for me. I don't know if he has, do you?
Well, it was being addressed before it was even presented to you, but the police commission is supposed to oversee the policies and procedures and approve them, and the discipline and revocation of policies if it doesn't work. But I get the impression that we're not trusted to do the right thing. The police commission's not trusted to do the right thing. And it's just constant. Is it me that you have a problem with? I'm trying to find a solution for what's best for the department, okay? Not for me. I don't care if I get another raise. Yeah, I do, but it's more important that the other guys get raises, and I've told you that before in budget meetings. I've told you things that I feel like the department needs or the town needs to help protect it. And I'm not mad in that memo. I'm just answering it. You asked me to justify things in the last meeting. I justified them when the initial presentation of what my budget request was. I justified them in that. I justified them again in another meeting. And I feel like I'm just batting my head against the wall because I keep getting asked the same questions or insinuations that we're trying to get away with something.
Well, it all goes back to numbers for me, Randy. If they want, the board wants 6 officers, that's fine. It will put us in a much tighter spot a year from now. Yeah, I thought I had a solution that kind of helped both sides. Give them more money, be competitive, and help our budget issue. Other than that, I don't have anything else to say. I mean, it's up to the board what they want.
Well, I mean,
It's up to you.
Can we pay down comp time out of that recovery money?
That's why I was gonna suggest that you use the ARP money to
We'll
pay
use
down.
some of the ARP,
But you
yes.
have to do it, there's a formula, you have to do it per rata based on when it was accrued, I
Right.
think, though, under the thing. So you can't pay the full amount probably, but you can probably pay the amounts that accrued since the COVID
Right.
hit.
And that's documented.
So that should help with the comp time issue, but, I mean, that was just something I wrote down while you guys were talking, so.
Sometimes it's just not, you're not capable to avoid having comp time. I mean, if he makes an arrest an hour before he gets off, it's not gonna work for another officer to come in and take it over, okay? Because chain of evidence, issues with the court, the other guys can't testify to what he found out in the case. It just has to stay with one guy. So, like I explained in the letter, there are some times that there's gonna be comp time. There's been a few instances this year where we had to call out everybody on a major thing. That doesn't happen all the time, and we don't have that all the time. You're right. Not like bigger cities do. But I am proud of the guys and the work they're doing.
I don't think anybody's mad at them. I mean, and just like the comp time, I don't think anybody's complaining. Just like the scenario you just said, I don't think anybody's complaining about that. I know I'm not. I don't think anybody else is. I mean, there's other situations that might come into play. I don't, but that certainly isn't one of them. I mean, I mean, for me, we do talk about this every year, and we always start in mid-year, and we start talking and complaining about it. I mean, you said you went back 2 years. I mean, I remember when we made you chief, you said you could run this department with 4 guys.
To start.
And well, but I mean, and then, you know,
For a while.
if you get us up to the county level, then, and you know, we've done that. And, you know, then as soon as that was done, it was longevity pay, and it just, I mean, every year it's gonna be something, and, I mean, we just can't do it. I mean,
I understand that the police department doesn't generate money, we don't want them to, like the electric company or anything, but
Right.
the town has that problem with all its employees, it's trying to keep competitive. I give you the information, it is your decision, it's not mine.
but I mean, well, that's what I'm trying to say. I mean, like Liddy said, I mean, you know, if the county's paying X amount of dollars and they can go out and fill out an application and get hired, then I mean, I wouldn't begrudge anybody that. I mean, I would do the same thing if I would never hold anybody back from making money. But I mean, we cannot continually match the counties.
That's why.
Well, not with 6 officers, we can't.
I mean-
If we go 6 officers, I know we can't now. With 5, we can be more competitive. But hey, if you guys don't see that's an issue, then it's fine. I'm just throwing out alternatives and.
I mean, I've told you before, I don't wanna run I don't wanna run the PD. I don't want anything to do with it as far as that end of it, but I mean, obviously, do we still have somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 to 12 reserves? I'm asking, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how you guys,
8 reserves, some of those,
I mean, I realize those people have jobs and they're, you know, but.
about 3 or 4 of those 8 reserves, I think are capable of working by themselves. The other ones have not, and they don't have the time to devote to come out and get to that level of competency. But they're good to have around when we have larger events and need extra manpower. But to work on their own and say, hey, come in and fill a shift, I don't feel comfortable with some of them doing that. We do have part-time officers, but most of them have full-time jobs. I think only one of them does right now, he's just retired, but he's taking care of family medical issues. So getting those guys to come in, they fill in when they can. But I think part of that problem also is those guys have opportunities to go make more money somewhere else. Make it overtime rate. They understand that working here, they're just gonna get straight time. It's not an overtime job for them. And
Well, I mean,
can't pay them more to work an hour than what these guys are making. So they can't expect to get time and a half pay. And I don't think they do, but they do fill in when they can, and it has helped, but we haven't used all that money because I got about 2 part-timers, I think, that work consistently.
Cameron, you're sitting there, give me your opinion. I want Chris's opinion too, so.
Be more specific.
I think
About a 5th officer, 6th officer, would you rather have more money? Would you rather have a sixth officer? I mean,
I've addressed the pay issue with all of you at least once. I don't think it's appropriate for me to tell you how much money I want or think I deserve.
I'm not asking you that, I'm asking you if you want to raise.
More money would be nice. I'm not gonna lie, but you know, the ability to take time off, time that I've accrued. I don't necessarily have that ability right now because we have been short. I mean, even.
When you say short, Cameron, I'm sorry, Leonard, but short why? Because you've only had 5 officers for over a year.
Usually can only allow one to take a time off at a time. Because I'm the guy that floats around and fills those shifts.
When guys have medical issues or birth of a child.
Okay.
Or need to take a vacation because they're burnt out. You know, those situations drastically limit our effectiveness and our ability to take the time off that we've accrued. I haven't been here all that long, and I've got 1,000 hours or more of lead time built up that I can't use it as fast as I'm accruing. I just can't. You know, I'm not saying that I want to take a week or 2 weeks or hell, a month off every other month, but you know, the idea that I can take time off and know that I'm not screwing over the guys that I work with, that's beneficial. That's a wonderful thing, wonderful thought, knowing that there's somebody there that's going to be able to step up and carry a little bit of the weight in the event of my absence. And you know, knowing that there's not really anybody there right now, and we've got one part-timer that comes out all the damn time, and he's almost 60 years old, and he's working 2 other jobs on top of it and putting himself in a bad spot,
Well,
just
there
to
you
help
go.
us out, because we don't have to help.
Ian couldn't be here, but he said he'd prefer another officer over one.
100%. I'd rather have more help.
Okay. Chris, you wanna weigh in on this, or?
I think pretty much the same thing. I mean, money's nice, obviously, but there's other things to make the work environment better. You know, like you guys said, this is a constant battle every year, which makes a lot of guys go, do I stay here? Do I go someplace else? You know, more consistency and having the ability to do time off, I think would be a great thing. Not worrying about, like they said, taking time off or training. Like, for instance, I gotta put in 16 hours a month just with my dog. So a lot of times I got someone covering, so I go down to Vigo and do an 8-hour training day as part of my certifications. You know, that's part of the certification process. And I'm not complaining about that because I want the dog and I want to work, but that's just one example of the situations that is hard to cover. It's hard to ask some of these guys, you know, to cover to help me do that, or, you know, other mandated training that all of our guys have to take, let alone taking time off.
The dog is certified in drug detection now too, by the way.
Can any of our guys see if we will certify as a trainer?
We have more
Well, that's a
instructors.
good argument.
We got
What I
several.
was gonna suggest,
So it's in-house.
if you're considering that, is to pay down the comp time with the ARP, and then it shouldn't accrue as much because they're able.
Well, we'll pay off some. I don't.
Right, not all,
Right.
obviously, but then you get somewhat caught up for 2 different reasons. You use the ARP funds to pay down some, and then they're using their comp time too, so it's not accruing at the rate it is
Right.
currently.
So what's this new officer starting at, Randy? I had it written down in here and I don't have it.
We said 35.
I thought we were
I think we got
35.
30 said 35, yeah.
With a sign-on bonus?
No sign-on bonus.
Oh, okay. Did we talk about
Well,
that?
they have to be aware though that it's gonna be a year-to-year thing.
Well, I guess everybody's in that boat, kind of. But yeah, I know. It's. We'll see where we're at.
Well, this person's gonna have to sign an agreement because we're gonna have to send them, we don't have anybody to supply that has the academy.
Well, we could just do like we did with Brett and indicate, you know, that they'll stay for a certain period of time, or they'll reimburse the cost of the training.
But if we can't afford it next year, to even keep them on salary, that's where you're,
That's a concern.
then you're gonna be out you would just be out your academy money.
Well, so
Is that the right one?
yeah. It's
Okay.
okay, so. Well, so it sounds like, based on what I've heard tonight, that the 6 officers' way to go. Two to go. Everybody
you, I guess.
Well, so that takes us back to where we were 2 weeks ago as far as pay increases for public safety. Nothing else changed. I took out Gainer. He didn't, well, he only,
He can only
he
make
can only
this.
work
He-
so
he's
much.
got
make so
extra
He
much.
doesn't, that doesn't apply to him
Uh,
anymore, so he doesn't have a limit.
What does he say?
His stuff, yeah, I talked to him about it and it doesn't, it's not a factor anymore for him, so,
So,
not that it changes.
oh, I guess I should hand
what
these
it
out. I
makes,
was looking
but
at it.
it's-
Anybody else has them?
Give it more.
Here, have
I
one.
had him.
Is that just one?
Here.
Here, Randy, got you one too? Basically, it's just updated what we discussed last meeting here. Nick, you're over there. You're not gonna see. Hopefully I got enough, I don't know. So, on the public safety, that would, a few changes there. We're throwing that 6 officer back in 35.
Did you take the car out?
Yeah, the car, well, where did I have that thing? I think I had it under seated. It's in there, but that's, yeah, we know we're taking that. And I also talked to you today, Randy, about trying to set up some fund that's labeled, I don't like rainy day, but, some public fund or some fund on the fund report is for public safety. So, and we can accumulate money in there for car, we can accumulate money in there for overages. So we need some buffer.
Right.
So,
There's already a line for fees, right? So when we start collecting these fees,
I don't know, is there a line for fees? I think so.
I thought.
Yes,
there
there
was.
is.
So that's where that money will go once that goes into effect.
It's easy to make a big revenue line, what are you talking about?
Well-
It all has to go to public safety, not the general fund.
Well, you want to put it in 249? Okay, yeah, that stuff is still in 249.
Generally built out.
Yeah. So,
I can create new ones, there's a miscellaneous line, but you can itemize it as far as once you approve things if you want to.
anybody want to talk about anything on there? Oh, Randy? Yeah, you're looking at numbers that aren't, I ran a report right before I came up here incorporating what my alternative to the 6 officers. So those numbers are not correct.
Okay.
You and Bill would be, Cam and Keen and Fisher, that's changes a little there. I think Cameron's increase was 2280, Ian was like 1220, and Fisher was 2. I think.
Is this, you've got enough now?
No, this is going to match the county.
This is the previous one part.
Yeah, the previous one, I wrote the numbers down here. Yeah, we had Cameron going up 2,280, we had Ian going up 1,220, we had Fisher going up 2,000, so. Yeah.
So what's their adjustments on this spreadsheet? Because we would go back to that.
Yeah, go back to the last one.
What's the total
So
one
is
on
this the
Cameron?
right one?
No.
No,
Is 11.8 the last one or the correct one to go back to?
the 1130.
That's 11.8 in this one.
What is it for Cam?
Well,
39?
39.
And then Ian?
Well, Ian. If they go Ian and Chris would both be at 41.
41?
Okay, the correct one would be 12.6.
Yeah, probably. I'm impressed you kept all of them.
I had them, I just left my phone.
Bill's at 47, and then Randy was at 54.
We don't have anybody to do part-time, why are we increasing it so much?
You didn't increase it. That's just showing what we have used this year. That's why I suggested some of that could be used to pay off comp time or.
I thought we were gonna.
Well, a couple of years ago, part-time was about
And you
that.
should be able to cut the part-time back. It's always been right around 16.
Yeah, I think you recommended cutting a year ago, we did, and then you're saying we need to increase it.
No,
No.
no, decrease.
Well, I
What did you
thought,
say it could go down to?
I think going down to 9
That's what I thought you
oh,
said.
okay.
From what?
from
Well,
17.
17.6.
Because there's only $2,400 left in part-time funding right now, so we've used 16,000, just so you are aware of those totals.
Park has in here the
We should need
21
less
totals.
part-time since you got.
I'm sorry.
The 6th officer should need less part-time. But I was going off this
What
report
was
here,
budgeted for 21?
Part-time.
showing that we have 9,000 expenses, so that's
Because
not
Park has
true.
it as 9.
This is
I added
it.
nine.
I mean, that may be what he's wanting to cut it to, I'm just saying there's only
No,
$2,600
got it.
left, so.
I
New
don't,
total for 22 is 17,680.
well, that's supposed to be 9. The number there last year that I had may not have been what we used on our budgets.
So we're gonna go to 9 or 10?
I don't know, I thought we just heard 9.
He said 9. I mean, with the 6th officer, he's saying he's not gonna use as much.
Part-time?
I'm gonna pick 9, it's less than.
It's less.
Okay. Another thing, I wanna, I guess be a motion, I need a motion to pay some of the rescue funds. Yeah, I'm proposing that, or I move, that we pay our public safety officers, that's all 10, the fire and police. I think there's 4 fire, there's,
Do you guys have much comp time?
They don't get
anyway, $2,000.
Whatever was accrued in 21.
No, I'm not talking comp time, this is.
This is just
bonus,
like,
is that what you're saying?
Yes,
So you'll need a resolution to do that then.
we need a resolution, well, that's why I was looking at you. I mean, what's the board?
I misunderstood.
I mean, the county's doing this, I think, the exact same thing.
no, not for public safety, they're doing a big old job.
Yeah, they gave him a couple $1,000 out of
Oh,
public.
no, more than that.
Well, I just drafted the resolution a while back, so I have it, and then I
I thought it
drafted.
was like 3,500 for the.
I have it, I don't remember what exactly it
What
says.
did the county
but-
get versus what we got?
Oh, like 3 million.
Yeah.
Yeah. they
3
got
million?
about-
Holy crap.
3 point something.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's oranges to apples.
yeah, well, anyway, that's what I thought
Budget-wise.
would be,
I say I wouldn't get wound about what the county does, I just do whatever you guys do, and, their budget's significantly bigger than your budget, so.
Well, I'll second that.
well, I wanna hear some discussion, I mean, you guys want.
So was that 2,000?
Where we at right now? I mean, what,
And
you
then
guys
you're
been
gonna use
throwing
this-
numbers out there, so.
And then you're gonna use the same funds to pay out.
We'll pay out some comp time, yeah, we can do that from the rescue funds.
It's got a cap on it though, as far as what you can and can't do
Oh, yeah.
on it, so we'll have to run those numbers, but.
We can do, so, you're looking at 2,000 would be, I think, is there 10 or 9, 10, you're looking at $18,000 to $20,000 there.
Jim, how many guys do you have? 4.
3, 4, 5, Josh.
We would give the new officer.
Yeah.
Well, so there'd be 5, so it'd be 9 total, so it'd be 18,000.
Okay.
Now, there's a question, do we have to do that over 26 pages, or can we do that in one check?
I think the county ran into that and they had to do it over 26 pages. I'll have to go back and look though.
They run it separate though, like it doesn't go through the regular payroll.
I need to look
Because it
at that
can't-
part, because I remember the county somehow got their hands, got told they couldn't do what they were wanting to do. But I don't see why if it's a bonus, we couldn't just do it in one check.
Yeah, we're not making it part of pay, it's just the bonus.
Yeah,
We hate to include it in pay, I mean, it just makes it look like they're.
I can email you tomorrow.
Dirty's the water,
on that.
muddy's the water, and what you're actually getting paid when you throw something in there that's gonna go way down the road here.
Generally, I would say yes, but for some reason in the back of my head, I'm remembering the county had an issue when they were trying to do this. I just don't remember what it was. So I'll have to look.
What portion are we thinking on for comp time? We're gonna
I
decide
don't
that
know,
later.
we'll have to
Didn't you just
look
say
and
there's a
see
cap?
what pertains to.
There
the
is, and there's some language on what
18 months.
what you can pay out for. It seems like it was accrued during the time period is what the language was.
They usually go by the declaration, which was March 20th.
Yeah, so, I mean, I guess we'd wanna look at how much comp time was accrued during the period of time since March
Well,
of 2020 till now.
Right.
Because all of that would qualify, but that doesn't mean you have to pay all of that down necessarily.
Okay, so
But that's what the limiting language, it's not so much a
Where are we at
cap,
on
it's
raises?
when is the time approved.
well, look here.
I mean, is this what we're going with?
With these numbers,
Well, with
those
What
numbers.
is it?
go back to the previous
He was
spreadsheet.
figuring that based on.
12.6.
different proposals.
Yeah, 12.6 one.
Leaving everybody else at what we had.
Yeah, I think so.
I just, I'm pretty sure we just did this earlier. Just kidding.
Do we have to address it tonight about the comp time?
No.
Well, the comp time, no, we need to look at the total time accumulated since March 20th, 2020. You know, I was throwing this other thing out there, it's just, we were given the money to use it, and that's what other municipalities are doing, so I think it's appropriate for us to do something.
And you can, you're lucky.
Yeah, the comp time thing, we need to break down what was accumulated, most, probably a lot of it,
Mhm, 'cause that's about the time.
in the last
April, you went on administrative.
But the
18.
thing is, I mean, they want time off, so
Right, we won't pay
pay
it
out
all out,
some
we can pay some.
and let them take
And
time
let them
off.
take some time off,
Yeah.
once they get another officer.
And they got vacation and holiday.
Yeah, and it's not just off time, they've got other time.
Why not, they want time off, so I think, yeah. Keep
Well,
some,
good.
keep some in the bank.
So we have two things, I guess you made a motion on well, let's do the payroll
You
thing.
did for the sixth officer thing, you already motioned that, but it didn't get seconded or voted on.
Well,
She motioned for the sixth officer
It's
already.
already, that had already been a motion previously, hadn't it? So it's
I
not
thought
approved
it'd
yet.
been
Yeah, that was a done
seconded.
deal, I was.
It's done.
All right.
Okay,
So,
we need a motion on payroll,
So moved.
and we're going 35 for the new guy.
35, I guess that right, Randy? Okay.
With the understanding that if he has to stay, if he's able to stay, well, I will.
Are
So do you
gonna
want the 3-year agreement then and
Guess
reimburse
not, maybe.
fees or, I mean, I can put a carve out in there and, you know, if he's terminated for cause or leaves because of funding issues or whatever, that doesn't qualify. I mean, that'd just be a carve out I'd add to what we had for Brett, so. Or you could just, you know, eat the fees no matter when it comes or goes. I mean, that's up to you guys. If you want to carve out in there, I can do that. You can add the 3-year agreement, so. Just tell me which way.
I say a 3-year agreement with the caveat that if we can't sustain the position, that he's not liable. He or she isn't liable.
Okay.
That's good. Need a motion on that?
Yes.
I'll move.
Second?
Hey, Randy, can you send me something, tell me what all new fees we have to train the new officer?
Yes.
That way I can include that in this, in case they were to leave.
It is.
No, that's in the holiday, we get paid now.
Oh, no, comp
Okay.
time.
All right.
He's all taken care of.
All right,
Yeah,
and there's time. Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, so we got that new officer taken care of, we've got the payroll ordinance, I guess we should call it.
So
What
you
about
told me a
this?
resolution for the bonus for public safety.
I
You
don't
want me
have
to
a-
draft that for the next meeting?
Yeah.
Okay.
We still need a motion for the bid, for the budget.
Well, the budget, including the payroll ordinance?
Sure. Is everybody on agreement with the public safety? There was a motion in a second, but.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Aye.
Who motioned, you? Who seconded? I did.
Everybody was on from the start with Nick preparing the agreement, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Hold up, thank you.
On the resolution,
was
is that
there
what you're
a-
saying?
That and
For the
the
2,000.
agreement, 3-year
Oh.
agreement.
Okay, all right, yeah.
I was just making sure I had all
Dollars.
stuff.
Was there a motion for the resolution for the 2,000?
Yes.
Okay.
You, yes, you too,
Okay.
but I just wanna make sure everybody was on board with that. Nick will do that, right?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Comp time, we're waiting. I'll
Yeah,
get
we
you
need
an
to take a
updated
look at that,
report.
what it's accumulated, what we
What
want
we
to try,
can cover.
what we want to pay out of it. Okay. Well,
Are you gonna work on the comp time thing, or should I start trying to put something together?
I'm sorry.
You're gonna need a resolution on the
The
comp
run,
time. Do you want me
yeah.
to go ahead and start?
Go ahead and start on
drafting
it.
Okay.
Brandy and the office can get to looking at when it was accumulated, what do we think?
Then we
might
can
be
just
out.
insert the numbers in
Yeah.
once I have it done. Okay.
What's the date?
Huh?
What's the dates for those? I can give you what hours are during that
I
period.
think we were saying March
March
1st, 2020, right?
No, I think it was March
March
20th.
March 20th, 2020.
Yeah, I think it depends on the ARP says 21st, you know, from
Yeah.
March 21st, 2020 on.
To win.
Now.
You're still inside of it, actually. Yeah.
Okay.
We're still in the middle.
Okay.
Well,
I need a
remember, you're
budget,
gonna get
or I need a
another
motion
payment
for
ARP.
budget.
We did that.
No, we didn't.
Okay,
Hey,
well, we'll
before
do
you
it.
do that,
I thought I
I think
made
you
that
can
motion.
consider rounding me to 11 instead of
I'm
10666.
sorry, what?
You
I got
guys,
10, 6, 7.
You don't like that number?
well, if you put me at 11, that puts me in a round number, which means each pay is a round number also.
You're down in,
Attorney.
And, okay,
And I guess I'd just say, you know, I don't really like asking for raises, but I didn't take a raise last year. I feel like I do a whole lot of things
You see them here?
yeah,
that
yeah.
haven't been done necessarily previously or aren't done in other capacities. So I'd just like you to consider 11 for each utility.
Okay, that's pretty darn cheap.
Well, if you want to consider more, I'd entertain that, but I don't, like I said, like asking for raises, but
Well, it's about $1,000. It's not
Right,
bad at
yeah.
all. I'm okay with that. Thanks. Yeah, we lean on you a lot. Okay, so we got that there. I guess before we do the final budget approval, you know, one
I don't care when we do it.
Well,
I
we
mean,
need to-
you guys were talking about it.
I'd like to bring up something else as far as the non-public safety people. I mean, we been through a lot in the last year and a half, and no fault of anyone, in this country anyway. So, you know, I'm considering, or I'd like to propose we do a little something for the non-public safety employees, just, you know,
It can't come out of recovery.
no, I know it can't come out of the rescue fund. Well, I'm proposing
You got a figure in mind?
Yeah, 1,500.
Okay.
Where's it going to come
Well, it'll be spread across wherever they're paid from now.
from? Well, I'll second that motion.
Well, I just want to hear from everybody else. I mean,
Don't have a problem.
Why would it be the same?
well, because we were specifically given the rescue fund, and it's kind of the same. I mean, if you want to make it the same, I would.
I make it the same.
Would you? Well, there you go. We got, so 1,500 to 2. Be same as public safety.
Well, then I'll second that motion.
Well, you're just a second and full, aren't you? Okay. Okay, David.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And again, I prefer it to be done at one time as opposed to 26 pays.
I
Get
think
that
you can.
done.
I just want to look before we do it. I don't
Well,
want to get
we're
our
not
hands
paying
slapped.
out of that.
No,
Oh,
we're
yeah,
paying it out of
services.
wherever they're being
Right, so you guys
spaced now.
definitely do that then.
Yeah.
Okay, it's just the rescue fund.
Yeah, I just want to make sure we don't get our hands smacked on that is why I asked you not
Okay.
to do it. This is out of whatever you're doing. You can do whatever
Okay.
you want there.
Or even
2,000
some
non-public.
information from the state auditor that they could,
You got that?
it
So
has
you'll
to
need a
be
resolution on it
hourly,
too, though.
but you could pay it in total as long as it didn't.
Yeah, if we can on the, so then back to the budget, Dave. You want a motion on the
As long as
overall
we
budget?
can on ARP.
Yeah, the rest, I mean, I,
To the 12-6.
With the corrections back to the 12.6 for some of the payroll, but we approved the payroll already, didn't we, or did we not?
not as a whole, you guys just talked about changing those figures, so, and what I think we'll do is if you wanna approve it as presented the last time, I'll put it back together.
Okay.
Send it, we can sign it the first of the year, or they can sign it, but,
Change to him too.
And it's,
yes.
these bonuses are
Yeah.
full-time employees
Yes,
only.
yeah,
Okay, I
Right.
just wanted to make sure. Okay. For the
So
rest
no
of
Okay.
no part-time.
No.
Okay.
So I'll move on whatever it is you just said.
Well, basically, since we're
Based on the
changing,
12-6 numbers.
changing from what I
And
sent
it-
out, I'll make the changes, send it to you, and that will
Right.
get officially signed. We go ahead and approve it
An
based on
update,
that.
the attorney,
Yes.
In public safety.
There, yeah.
public safety. Yeah, well, that's going back to the 26.
Yeah.
So I move. We
I'll
approve.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Now, that was fun. Let's get on to even more fun stuff. So I think it was last meeting, it seems like it's been forever, it was last meeting, I handed out some spreadsheets. Now you get another one. It's updated. You know, I've talked to several people in a few meetings, to figure out our projects, how we can pay for them. So yeah, there's a lot of projects we have going on and potentially going on. You know, the first one there's Stormwater, Jackson, Voorhees. We don't have a firm number on that.
There'll be more.
Who's doing the PER? I don't.
It's,
Is Roger doing the PER?
Roger's doing Jackson Voorhees,
Okay.
and he should be getting pretty close on to be able to present.
So, you know, right now, and I think I got this number from the Stormwater Board, 900,000, Kevin.
Something like that. We should have the money, I don't have my notes in front of me, but we figure probably contribute what we've got in our budget, we'll be able to, and the grant.
Right, yeah, I'm looking at a $600,000 grant, talked to Cindy about Hooper grants recently. You know, there's a July 1st and award in August, another one's November, and probably award in following February, I believe, something like that. So there's two windows there to apply this year. We can get 600,000 on that. So it's a 900 roughly project, we need to come up with 3. And we can do that, the stormwater balance is around 340, 334. We have another 50 that's going back in there from the Howard project that needs to go back into there.
Somehow, 119, 120 is what stuck in my mind, and what the town would have to come similar to that, so I'm not sure we're right at 900.
Well,
Yeah.
you know, the bottom line,
Yeah.
we've got the money, we
Got the
can
money.
make this thing work. If it's around 9, if it goes higher, a little higher, we can still cash flow. If it goes 2,000 or 3,000, 100 higher, we'll be pulling.
We'll find it.
We'll have to find it somewhere.
I've cut down on banners.
Yeah.
I know there
So,
were a couple elevations that Roger was looking at specifically that was gonna make a big difference
Well,
in terms of.
how you get the water out of that. Harris, down
Yeah.
between Harris and Woodlands, one way to shoot it, the other way, you go over to Beetle, drainage over there, I think. Okay. So the Jefferson Street Jackson lot thing, you know, TIF has indicated and re-indicated they're willing to go 40,000 on the demo of the building. Okay? So,
On Jackson Jacks?
on Jackson. So we'd have to come up with the rest, say it's, you know, I'm not gonna say, I don't wanna give anybody that's watching this, potential bidders, but we can come up with some more money, from food and beverage to cover anything additional. No, it's gonna be.
Oh, okay,
that
gotcha.
and, you know, some
Okay.
more we could come up with our food and
Yeah.
beverage. So, that's that. Now, the Jefferson project, we've had it 90% complete for like 5 years, 6 years. Last Wednesday at the public hearing for South Market, Kim was there. He's the one who did the original work on that construction point. And he sent out a bunch of stuff. Jeff really jumped on that, got all over it last week, and the number's a little high there maybe. Project 840, I don't think it's that high based on what he sent out, of around 588, and I think that included the 20% contingency. But there's a couple things we're looking at there. I'm not sure if they're in, well, just like the building of the lot,
Right.
that is going to cost something, and I don't know what it is. So the number's high, but still, we can make this cash flow.
And the foundation had indicated they might contribute something.
That's
too,
true, they
so-
indicated that too, but I mean, we have a healthy balance in steel, we have a healthy balance in food and beverage. You know, we have money in the CCI and CCD funds, capital improvement, capital development. So there's money there to put in this project, and some maybe wonder, why aren't you going with a community crossing, why aren't you going for an Okra? Well, because of all the red tape involved, because it's an historical district, it's just a nightmare, and we have in-house funds, why not put them to use? We've been saving them for years. It's an ideal project to use them, I mean, it's why not? Okay, so next project, water project. Now this is a fun one. Everybody hang on here. The estimated cost, 2.6 million. Now the PER, again, is Roger doing that? He already did it.
It's already done.
PER's done by Roger, yeah. And so that number's fairly firm, 2.6 million.
We are going for a grant like that.
Well, we're going for Okra. 600,000 again, I believe, after talking to the people that know a lot more than I do about it, that's what we should be able to receive. Now, here's where we can use some of that rescue money for an infrastructure project.
Nice.
It's legit to use, we can use some of that for that, but that's a long way from covering all we need. We have water improvements, has current balance 286,392. We put another 14 in water improvement at the operating fund. That gives an even 300 there. We could use 300 on water improvement, which is like a depreciation account, but, so there's 300. Another 75 from ops for next year. We have 75 for budget depreciation next year. We could throw that into the mix. On the last page, now here's the one that's getting very, well, I think, creative and yet also smart with our money. If we finance this in-house, we avoid a $200,000 bonding cost that it costs to issue our bond for this thing. Okay, so we take the $200,000, that cuts it down from 2.6 to 2.4. Now we have substantial amount of money, like depreciation, like cash reserve. You can loan yourself in-house up to 5 years from one utility to the other utility. Okay? So we could borrow money from light reserve. It has to come from reserve, not from light op or light depreciation. It has to come from cash reserve. Do it 5 years. So here's what's really exciting about that. Instead of going out here and getting one of these 10, 15, 20-year loans, paying $200,000 bonding costs, we still have debt in light, 2 more payments, total, well, we pay every month, but we accumulate every month. I think we pay twice a year, once a year. That'll be paid off in the first of 2024. We're paying $184,000 a year. So we start this thing, say it starts, I don't know if we can make it this year, it may be into 2020.
We talked about for the water applying in,
This year.
July of 22, which is when the applications,
For 2023,
with
sorry.
awards being announced in, August.
And we have 18 months to complete. So bottom line, this thing will be completed probably by the end of 2023, maybe sooner. But once we get that current debt we had that came out in 2020, that bond, that gives us another $184,000 to pay off on our loan to ourselves.
How often do we pay that, twice a year?
We pay the 184. Well, we accumulate it in a fund, account, and then we make that payment twice a year to the state revolving fund.
So you'd be able to pay it off in 2.5 years, so you're well within your 5 years.
Yeah, well, basically, bottom line, we could do this project and pay it off in-house with roughly 5 years. And that's pretty darn neat.
That's
And then we would be debt-free in water.
considerable.
And that's kind of a nice thing to achieve. So that's how that project was. Next project, community crossings. Depending on how you look at the source of the money, we have $31,000 budget in blacktopping next year. We have money in local road and street of $56,000. We have money in motor vehicle restricted of $56,000. And we have money coming into local road and street next year. We have, I don't know what comes into motor vehicle restricted. Do we get that monthly or biannually or?
Quarterly, and it's split.
Okay.
So half, 50% goes to each.
Okay, so there's still money coming into there, but you could go and say, okay, we know we got the 31 in motor vehicle blacktop, Jeff. We have local road and street 56 plus 15 coming in, you know, so we could use that 56, till 15 at the end of next year. So then out of motor vehicle restricted, we could go, say, half of that balance, 25, go the full 50. You go back to our 20% match on projects, so we could do anywhere from 448 to 548,000 project next year, on local roads. So yeah, it's just figuring out what roads do we want to go at.
Did you get my email? Did I send out that email preliminary cost estimates
On which?
on community crossings for next year?
Yeah, he sent
Yeah,
us.
yeah, I think, I'm drawing a blank,
Okay.
I've looked at
I
every.
looked at Anderson Street,
Yeah, you looked at Anderson, you
and
looked at.
I originally estimated it without curbs and gutters. I'm gonna have Roger give me an estimate with curbs and gutters as well, Anderson, because
Yeah.
I think we can. do
We need to
some
look
good
at
there.
that, I mean, not all the way down the street, I don't think, this.
No, just about Herman, I think is what we've identified. It's a pretty good stretch, but
We can afford it.
yeah, well, that's why I was curious about getting.
It'd be
the
nice to get
estimate.
some kind of water control, at least down to the Miss Hawkins' house, because that's a huge stormwater issue, and up there at Dollar General's a huge stormwater
Yep.
issue.
So we're looking at that too. Another thing that I'm looking at is the post office alley, and Roger's gonna do a little
That's been on
estimate.
the table
Where that
for
manhole
years.
too.
was.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a bad,
I don't even drive.
heavily
that.
used
I go
and-
through the
and
library,
just
I don't drive through that.
So anyway, as soon as I get some
I've
numbers
fallen in
back
about 3
from him, I'll present those to you, and then we can kind of nail down what we want to go after. But the
Yeah.
cost estimates will pretty much be done. So
You had
it's,
Parkway on there, didn't you?
yeah.
That east,
yeah.
south
Now,
end.
Interesting thing about Parkwood though, according to the guys, the south end belongs to the county. And that's the part that's the worst. So what I did on the cost estimate is go from the EMS all the way around to 41.
What's that south end is the worst?
Yeah, that's, according to Doug, that's counties.
Huh. Well, then, okay. Anyway, so that's the stuff there. This next one is to be determined projects. You know, we're looking at some stuff that we just set aside some money. It doesn't mean we're going to use it, but we set it aside. We know, okay, we got this much to work with. So it's nothing definite, but you know, we have money in the general fund. We have some more seeded money. You know, we have depreciation, water depreciation, waste that we have funded or going to fund, that we said we were going to fund for years, and we're finally doing it. So that would add up to a balance that we could look at and say, okay, we have money there for whatever project we come up with there. The 41 North Sewer Project is pretty much funded. You know, it's roughly a 1.5 million project. We've invested around 200, what we have, we've invested 250 already in design and actually a little more. You know, TIF is totally paying for this project. It's just we are the conduit to pay it. You know, they're going to loan or pay $1 million up front on this project. We have to finance the rest in house. And they pay us back at a rate of 8% of the collections every year in the TIF fund, which is around $176,000. And so
It may not be quite that much, just putting it out there. The
Yeah,
distribution for December
Mhm.
for Central was only around 130,000, so it'd be 80% of that.
okay. So it's really not, I don't think there's any concern there.
Really?
No.
You mean money-wise?
Money-wise, no. Other concerns, but they're non-financial. So the last major project, which is our South Market. Based on the numbers we received the other night at the public hearing, I'm not surprised. I don't know when they were last updated. Some material's gone up quite a bit in the last 24 months. So the cost has gone up a little. It's a 5.7 million project. Our match, because it's 8% 20, our match is 1.154 million. We've invested 143,000 to date. So the balance is $4,011,000. We have 735 in South Market Fund right now. We're supposed to put 75 in there from sewer this year. We had in the budget. We put that in there. So that gives us 810. You know, come up with the balance that we need. I mean, again, you can look for a little from seeded, a little from food and beverage. a little from light depreciation, a little from water depreciation, some from storm ops, and you get to that amount. We aren't going to need that full amount until 2023,
I thought it was
24.
originally supposed to be, didn't they say that one was gonna be a one-year project, or was it always a two-year? I thought it was,
Well, I think it may start 1 year into next. I'm not sure what the definition is.
well, I thought at one time I'd asked Ken if it was gonna be in one calendar year, and he said yes, but it's something like that.
There was probably a change.
So that's all the stuff we have going on and we like to have going on. No, Brandy, we talked a couple of weeks ago about some of the stuff we already had in the budget this year, moving for the appreciation, cleaning out the Howard project account, moving that for utilities. I think there was a resolution need to be done for that.
Thought I did already.
So,
There was more. There's 2 months, there's more money.
Okay, all right. Oh, that shouldn't be hard to do.
Yeah, I kind of go off the last.
I guess what,
I mean,
to wrap this whole spreadsheet up,
Unless you want me to. 'Cause then
what we should, I would recommend we do, as a board, every project that we've had, major projects, we set up a fund so we can track the money, see where the money's at, and also track these as it goes out. And we have that for South Market, we need that for 41 North Sewer, we don't have, do we have one set up or not?
Is it on the, I don't think on
I
that.
don't think there is.
I don't think so.
Community crossing,
There is a line for community money goes into.
okay,
But we talked about the other ones.
the Jefferson Street thing, the stormwater, every project listed on here, I'd suggest we set up a fund. So it prints out the fund report, we put the money in there that we know we have, so we know our bounds. And then when we do the project, that's where everything goes through. So it's separate from the operating funds, but that gets confusing when you have a project running through operating funds. I just, Brandy can work on those, we can look at it first next year, but I think it's a good way to track what we're doing.
I agree.
So that's all I have.
Exciting stuff,
It was, wasn't it?
even though we're all young.
Well,
Again, looking at those transfers, does
Yeah.
anybody have any issues with any of them? Because I'd like to go ahead
Well-
and get those taken care of so we can see that.
well,
have to make a motion.
I would like to because they're transferring from funds, so I do have to co-check and I can't.
I'll make
just
a
do
motion.
both.
okay, a second.
Or
Yeah, why don't you
word it
prepare
however you
that?
want it.
Aye. She's gonna prepare these transfers, set up the funds, and then we'll look at it when she gets it done.
And I,
Hey Jeff, on that sewer project at 41.
Dollar amount in fund names I can do
If
resolutions.
we camera that entire lateral,
We can look at it if they have it inside, cleaned out. And I think Nathan was gonna look and see if they did. They're trying to come up from the opposite end of the manhole, I think Doug ran into some trouble.
but everything you've looked at shows that it's a good lateral.
Doug's pretty confident that that whole lateral is good. We know it's PVC, it's not that old.
He just wants some assurance from the town that
Yes.
it's good.
Yes.
I don't know why it wouldn't be, but,
Yeah. And if it's one of those things where they locate it inside, clean out, and if we can run that camera through there, we'd be happy to do so.
okay. Sandy, you got anything you want to say? Kevin?
Just one, all right, go ahead, Kenny.
After we weren't so contentious, it was much more pleasant.
it's been worse, believe it or not.
Thank you.
Well, we're in a time that we need to be, this isn't the usual times, as we all know. And that's when we need to worry about our safety. So I think that's a moot point. Thank you all.
You're welcome.
Merry Christmas.
Well,
You want to add to that?
Again, thanks again, and very nice ending to the meeting. I'm glad everything turned out.
I regret even bringing my proposal up. I thought it was a neat alternative to help all parties involved, but anyway, it's dead.
Dead. Just on another note, you're talking about budget, special projects, all that stuff, and this is the last time I want to say something about it. Hey, number one, I want to thank Jeff Esslinger and his crew for getting the Christmas lights back on. That was a nice deal. Number two, I don't listen to Park County chatter and all that stuff, but still, when you go through Bloomingdale and you go through Montezuma, and they got better Christmas decorations than the town of Rockville, it's absolutely shameful. Absolutely shameful that we don't do what we used to do 50 years ago. I know Mr. Me says you can't hang lights from the courthouse anymore because it hurts the roof or something. Terre Haute seems to do it, but that's okay. But can we maybe consider somebody investigating some nice looking decorations? We're not building up tax base, but as far as like Main Street's got a little bit of dough, maybe work with them, see what they want to do.
And in the spirit of the season and cooperation, I think we should look at some white snowflakes. Since they like the white lights, that would be maybe a big
I
compromise.
vote against the white lights. I'm a colorblind kind of.
I don't mean around the square, I mean the decoration, the
Yes.
snowflakes.
The snowflakes will stay up all year round. I mean, all winter long. But anyway, that's my 2 cents.
I said snowflakes, the decorations.
For next year.
Anyway, just consideration.
Okay. So,
Just one last quick thing, especially since the town of Rockville was a contributor to this. Just remember the housing assessment survey is now available. If you are on Facebook, you can access that through the Partnership Park County Facebook page. So the link, it'll say Purdue Housing Assessment, click on it. It'll take you through a fairly brief survey. It's also going to be in the newspaper with a link if you do not want to do that, if you prefer a paper copy. After the beginning of the year, we'll have them available at the auditor's office. The only catch with that is because it is a confidential survey, you can't just take it and leave it laying around. You have to hand deliver it to the extension office if you do paper surveys. But I would encourage everyone, if you live in Park County work in Park County, to take that survey, please.
It'd be a great help to us, so.
Yeah, if you go onto our page, if you could share that link on Facebook, it'd be fabulous.
Yeah, Jeff. On Jackson, you know, the Ken sent out some stuff. You guys were talking last week, and since it's almost end of the year, and trying to remember what did he need at the first of the year? Did he need a notice to proceed, or what? It seemed like
He's going to get us together a proposal for finish of design and cost estimates and that kind of stuff.
okay.
Because there's some last.
Yeah, because I know.
Well, the ADA ramps are installed at 36.
Yeah,
We don't need
there's some
those.
changes, so.
The parking lot's going to be there, so we can look at how that's.
And I should have something from him shortly. I think there was one thing that was on a crucial track, and I think that was just trying to get agreement from reference right-of-way issues down through there, make sure there weren't any problems there. I think in that email it asked if that was something they could take care of in terms of trying to put together some kind of written agreement and engage in that.
And as far as easements, yeah, that's because there's easements, a lot of it has to do with 36 property.
So back up, what are we talking about? Sorry.
Jefferson
So it's the Jefferson Street project.
Okay.
Ken Olson sent me an email and it had the list of things that I sent back to the board, and I CC'd you on it as well.
Okay, I'll have to go read it.
Yeah.
I think I did read it at the time, but I didn't catch that you needed something from.
Well,
I
yeah,
put
I
my comments in red,
Okay.
so
I
if
couldn't
you
remember,
can zero in on
yeah.
those.
36 South Jefferson.
anyway, we meet the third, so that's good. It's first of the year. Yeah.
Is that our reorganization?
Well, it's a regular meeting. We can double. But yeah, I'm gonna try to refresh my mind on a lot of stuff for then. I don't, but we got to stay on top of them.
Yeah, I think, he asked if you guys still wanted to do lights, I said yes. If you choose otherwise on any of those things, just let me know and we can forward that information to him. but I think it was kind of the full meal deal.
Okay.
Would there be any grants out there for any solar or any electric?
IPA has something.
I mean, they're pushing green, they've gotta
Yeah,
have
I
stuff out there.
thought the governor turned some loose with some money or wanted to for charging stations.
I bet Cindy knows, or can find out.
Jeff?
I asked before and they
All
didn't
these
have, I mean,
acquisitions,
through
is that what you
M
want?
or like I use REC, but.
Okay.
That's
If
for
that's what it is, I can do that, yeah.
Yeah, because I think probably talk to most of those people down there, they just say, yeah, go.
Because to put in sidewalks, is that what you're talking about?
Well, yeah, this goes back 5 years, but we were talking about, I think it's still on the table as far as restructuring some alleys and doing away with some entrances here. It's-
Yeah, so I mean, if you can give me detail, I can put that together, yeah.
Well,
I wanna say a couple things, so if we're done, just real quick, just a little FYI stuff. There's 2 good videos out, one for the trails, Mark Davis put together, you gotta watch it. I mean, it's like a 4 or 5 minute.
where's it at?
Parktrailsalliance.com.
Park Trails Lots. Thank you, Cynthia.
You want-
Yeah, I got one thing for you guys.
Okay.
Took a complaint right before I came in here. And I've heard others complain, so I'm guessing the post office has changed some sort of rules where they're now requiring a lot more mailboxes across town. So I took a complaint from an individual on Howard, and they were concerned about the fact of your guys' right of way by the sidewalk and where to put a mailbox, because now I guess they're saying the post office is not gonna deliver their mail at all and is returning all their mail to sender. I think there's an issue, an attitude issue there probably between the two, but they're not the only ones I've heard complain about the mailboxes. Obviously, we have no control over the post office, but I guess there needs to be some sort of guidance or thought of where they can place these mailboxes, especially like on the Howard Avenue project, because that's where this guy lives, and apparently he tried to dig at one point and actually hit one of your guys' utility lines. So I don't know what guidance he can be given, that's why I figured I would ask you guys.
Call 811 would be the first.
Well, that would be one, and we already discussed that, but, you know, if you can't put, if you guys aren't allowing because of whatever right of way for them to put a mailbox on
They have to
the
be the backside of the
roadside of the
sidewalk,
sidewalk.
Would it have to be the backside of the sidewalk?
Now, if they're doing
Somebody just
street
check with
delivery.
the post office and see what.
Post office,
Yeah.
I mean, generally they're on the houses in town for the most
Right.
part.
Apparently something's changing, because I know like my sister lives on the other side of town,
Yeah.
and her house had one on, a mailbox on the house forever, and they told her they were stopping delivering mail unless she put a actual mailbox up in the
Is
alley.
that?
Mine's on my house,
So,
my lady's.
so
never
there's
said a
some
word.
sort of issue going on, so I wanted to bring it to your guys'
Well, that's good
attention.
to know.
Is Howard walking around, or do you know?
It's walking around.
Yeah.
As far as I know, it's
Has
walking.
been, has been.
We don't want a
So,
bunch of mailboxes running down the darn.
Oh, God.
Brandy,
Plow.
can you call the post office and see?
I can find
And
out.
he's been in this office, but
yeah, he said
keep
he
in mind, he
talked,
was not
but,
instructed from this office that he can or can't put a
okay,
mailbox in.
that's
there.
just what was,
We did not tell
that's
him
what
that.
was relayed to me, that he said, you guys said because you're right away, you couldn't do it from the
I-
sidewalk to the road.
My
But I
office
told him
didn't
I just
tell
saw
him
one
anything.
on Howard, right where it turns into Market, you know, it's on the house side of the sidewalk.
Yeah.
So I don't know what has changed with the post office, obviously, we don't have control over that, them being a federal agency, but I know that there's obviously an issue, and it's gonna come up more if I've already heard it from a few different people,
Yeah.
Would you
so.
be okay if I contact the post office and I will contact you
Yeah.
and let you know? And
Absolutely.
Texted him.
then
Cause I think he was gonna call back in tomorrow and
Texted
ask for an escort to the post
Postmaster.
office anyways, because I think it got heated
Nice.
today. So,
The federal
but there's an
postmaster
issue,
or the
so.
local?
Local. I'd like to know if
Okay,
they're
well,
telling
appreciate
people.
it.
Who is the
Yeah.
postmaster?
I don't know who it is, but I'm texting Tabby. She's up there and I think she's pretty much running it.
Yeah, so I don't know what the issue is, but like I said, there's been some sort of change made, so
Great.
that way everyone's aware.
Thanks,
No
Chris.
problem.
One other there's another video out there about LAB and the dairy farm. It's another 4 or 5 minutes, but it's kind of
Where's it
interesting
at?
to let you know. Cindy can probably maybe not, I don't know.
Something to do with Indiana Sanatorium, I'm sure.
No, that specific one was text to me, so it's not out like in a public domain, but if I have your cell phones, I can forward the,
Send it to me, I'll upload it.
I'm sorry?
Send it to me, I'll upload it.
I don't know that it's,
They want it out there.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry about that.
it's not, I mean, it's not a secret one, I just, it
Yeah.
was text to me, so I don't know where. It was produced by IU, so I imagine it's gotta be out there somewhere.
It's a history, you said?
It's just kind of an updated, some things that he's done, and it's got, if you've never been out there to see the buildings in the last few years, it's pretty cool to see what's been uncovered when the trash got
Travel
moved
Channel
down.
had an hour.
Yes, so they were on the Discovery and Travel Channel on December 11.
Hey, Cindy, would you text that to me though? Since we did that tour, I'd kind of like to see it.
Looks totally different now.
I'm disappointed.
No, they found cooler stuff.
Zombies?
Like we found the morgue.
Oh, nice.
I did clinical out there.
And I'd like to say real quick, our public hearing that we had Wednesday, turnout wasn't real bad.
How many people were there?
I would say 20, 25 people, wouldn't you?
What?
At the public
Yeah,
hearing.
public safety hearing.
I mean, a lot of the residents were there, so it was a good meeting.
South
Not public safety, public meeting for South Market.
South Market.
Yeah. Yeah, I
They
think.
just complained losing street parking.
Well, yes, there's concern.
Yeah.
Is there anybody that doesn't have access to a drive?
I don't know. I haven't gone house by house.
You haven't driven by there?
I've driven, but there's so much, I can't, if I drove that slow, I'd probably get ran over.
Did you
I
have
guess you
something
could walk.
else, Randy?
Yeah, I'm a member of the Park County Library Board, and I just want to tell you, if you do fix that alley by the post office between the alley, that we probably would redo our blacktop parking lots too.
Oh, that'd be nice.
And if you haven't noticed, there's a new message board on the side of the library.
Yeah.
And I think we will be able to make that available for messages like your surveys.
Album surveys.
Yes, and anything else that the town might.
All right, I'll entertain.
Motion to adjourn.
Second,
Awesome.
all in favor?
Aye.
Last meeting.